Hi, I'm Zach Weiss, co-founder of Worn & Wound, and what I have in front of me is a box. Very exciting, I know. But in that box is a watch that comes in pieces. A watch head, a case back, a screw, a tool, and a strap, actually 2 straps, all in their own compartments. As a customer, this is how the watch would arrive to you. And it also demonstrates part of what makes this watch quite different from others on the market. The watch is the SYE Start Your Engine MOT1ON Chronograph Bullitt Limited Edition, and today I'm going to check it out. SYE is a French brand that was founded a few years ago that, if the name wasn't already a clue, has automotive inspirations. While clearly at the heart of the designs, rather than making overt visual references to cars and racing, they took the theme as a seed from which to grow a unique strap system. Called the Fastback, it was designed to integrate metal and leather and was inspired by the hood straps of vintage automobiles. So while I usually don't spend much time on the strap that comes on a watch, nor really begin my videos on the topic, with the SYE, it's where we actually have to start. With the strap off the watch, you can really see how complicated this thing is. You see, the Fastback system doesn't use spring bars or even screws, rather it uses a fully customized end link system. So each end of the strap is fit with an end link that is seamlessly integrated into the leather, which then clips into the matching slots on the back of the case. Before I put it together though, I want to stop and appreciate how crazy and complicated this strap really is. As you may or may not know, we here at Worn & Wound have been making leather straps since around 2012. And that's something I personally have been very involved in the process of. We've made straps with big companies, big strap manufacturers that make, thousands or more straps a year, but also with some very small manufacturers who have never made a watch strap before we frankly came and knocked on their doors. So really kind of seen a lot of this process and learned about it a lot. And making straps isn't as easy as it looks for many reasons, but leather itself is a big one. So leather is a fickle material. It's natural, obviously, so it can be inconsistent in terms of color and texture. It can be rigid or stretchy depending on the tannage, the grain, the thickness of the leather, and it also obviously breathes and ages. It's not steady. On something like a couch, a jacket, boots, or a bag where tolerances are more forgiving, this is less of an issue, though still frankly a consideration. But on a watch strap, where 1 millimeter can be the difference between a strap that fits and doesn't, this makes for quite the challenge. And that's with an ordinary strap. This is not an ordinary strap. The leather has been wrapped around this end link assembly, which is up in here, following its contours perfectly, allowing for an appealingly seamless transition from leather into the metal case, where a single inconsistency or flaw would be frankly very easy to notice. On top of that, the strap features padding throughout, which adds to the construction complexity, and has rolled or rembordé edges. This means that the top leather is actually wrapped around the padding and then sealed behind the backing leather for a clean edge versus like a straight cut where you'll just see the grain of the leather. This is a crazy strap. This strap could cost hundreds of dollars depending on the brand making it, and I know SYE actually uses a high-end European manufacturer to make these straps. It's frankly pretty insane. So how do you attach the strap? Well, here's the next crazy part. You slot the straps into the case side/back. I found that they need a good push to really get in there. There's no click, which would be nice, but you can tell when it's snug. You then put the back plate on, and then put the little blue screw in the center, and then use a custom tool to secure it all. This tool is quite nice too. It's well machined, it's hefty, solid, something you'd expect from, frankly, a more expensive watch as well. And now that the watch is assembled, I feel like I can actually talk about the rest of it. Though I wouldn't call it an integrated bracelet watch, I do think it technically qualifies, but the way the strap and the case become one is more fluid, at least in geometry, that it really has a different look than your typical integrated design. And there's frankly no trace of the sort of Genta-fueled luxury mayhem that's currently trending these days. Instead, the case is like a strange little metal pod. It's 40.5 millimeters in diameter, though that's a tricky dimension to find because the strap is part of the case and there are crown guards, etc. So the bezel is 39.5 millimeters, which almost feels like the dimension that speaks to the size of the watch in terms of how it actually feels. The metal pod also tapers, so there's no real flat portion on this side. It has this funky profile where I think it actually flips from convex to concave, like just before the top, kind of like this. And then the way the pieces of the case fit together is a bit bizarre too. Rather than the bezel just being a ring on top, it comes down the side at 9, fitting in the mid case almost as though it was hinged. I don't think it is hinged. Rather, this balances out the crown guards on the other side and just adds a cool kind of industrial sort of detail. All around, there's just some really great lines on this case side, from the way the strap is hits to the crown guard to that little bezel detail. All really cool. The Bullitt LE we have here is made of titanium, so it features an even bead blasting, which looks great, though is perhaps more simplistic than the steel versions, which have brushing and polishing as well. It's worth noting that there is also a steel bracelet option on other models if, you know, you're just one of those people who just needs a bracelet. And then there's the dial. Though perhaps the most normal aspect of the watch, it certainly has its charms. The Bullitt version here is a 2-register chronograph powered by the Seiko VK64 Mecha Quartz caliber. So you'll find a 24-hour dial at 3 and a 60-minute counter at 9, both in black. The dial surface is then a slightly faded metallic dark green with vertical brushing. It's a great looking color, and the only real reference to Bullitt that can be found, alluding to the green Mustang in the film, of course. Large polished markers indicate the hours, and a white printed index is used for the minutes and chronograph seconds, with markings down to the 1/5 second as per the Mecha Quartz's smooth sweep, which is nice to see. A steep black chapter ring frames the dial with a very modern looking tachometer index here, printed in white on it with frankly a pretty cool layout. It doesn't look like every other tack out there, which tend to be, frankly, kind of similar in style. The date window at 6 keeps the dial symmetrical, though I do wonder if white text on a black surface might have suited this specific watch a bit better. Lastly, bright blue is used for the chronograph hands, highlighting that function. And blue appears to be SYE's brand color based on the leather backing here, the blue screw, the hands, etc., as well as a little bit of text on the dial, which is kind of barely visible against the green. In terms of style, the dial is pretty straightforward, but well balanced. It's a touch vintage, but not so much as to clash with the very modern strap and case execution, and I quite like the green and black combo. With that said, this is a limited edition, and normal versions are silver, black, or a silver panda, all of which look very nice too. On the wrist, I think this watch wears and looks great. It balances some well-executed traditional elements with a novel strap system that frankly does make it look unlike other watches I've tried. It's strange to see leather contour into a case like that, but I think it's quite cool, and it helps it wear very well as it's essentially a lugless case design. So how to wrap this all up? Well, let's start with the price. The Motion Bullitt Limited Edition, it comes in at $641. The steel versions start at $549 and vary depending on the strap. They're actually cheapest on the metal bracelet, which speaks to how complex these leather straps are. I commend SYE for making an affordable watch. I really do. It's always a challenge, especially when there are some complicated concepts and components at play, like the strap in specific. And I love the VK64 Mecha Quartz movements. I really do. I mean, really. We've been pushing those things since they first launched years ago. They are a sweet and great alternative to mechanical chronographs, particularly Swiss ones, which come at a price. There's a paradox at play here. This watch is almost too nice to be this inexpensive, and it's also a touch high for a VK64. 640-ish is at the top end of what you'll find a Mecha Quartz movement for, many being sub $500. But regardless, I think when people see a certain price point, they have an expectation of quality. And seeing this, frankly, radical strap design, it's almost a bit of, can that be good? Kind of a situation. Well, I have it here, and it's great. They make a watch that you wouldn't argue with at a couple of grand. I mean, it's really all price perception. So I think they almost did a disservice to themselves by going with a more affordable movement when, a Sellita SW500 hand-wound chronograph, for example, would have allowed for a higher price commensurate with the quality that they offer here. I just think they have something different and special, and I don't want to see them undersell it. But of course, I could also just be totally wrong. Perhaps the way to look at it is that this is just a great value for admittedly something really specific. It looks good, it fits great, it's well done. I don't know what the brand has planned for the future, but they clearly know how to design and make things, so I think they are most certainly worth keeping an eye on. There's also a Miyota 8000 series powered automatic time-only version. Suit your fancy. I think you'll be very surprised and delighted by what you get. So let me know, what do you guys think of this? Is this a watch that you think should be $641? Is this a watch that if it had a higher end movement, you think you would pay a little more for? What do you think of an integrated strap design like this? Is this watch crazy? Is this watch cool? I think it's certainly very different and well done. Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe. And of course, be sure to check out wornandwound.com daily for more news and reviews. See you next time.